Okay, so guys, hello and welcome to our today's webinar. And I'm really delighted to be here today as we are gathered for this insightful webinar on security models. Okay, so Mr. Sharma, Manoj Sharma is having more than 19 plus experience in the field of cybersecurity. And as in Cybernous, we believe that it is very critical subject, CISSP. So we are here to help you out to solve the criticality of CISSP. And today's topic is our objective is 3.2, which based on security models. So we'll be like touching upon various concepts of cybersecurity, especially this security models. So let's get started.
Okay. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks for that. And welcome, everyone. Welcome on board for this particular webinar. This particular webinar is more focused on domain number 3. That was, we have a series of webinar going on, and this is one of them. In the last webinar, we have covered the fundamental architecture and design principles. And in this particular webinar, we are going to throw some light onto the security models. Now, what is expected out from a CISSP aspirant from this particular module is that you should be able to recognize the security goal for each and every module. That's very important, right? Because that is where it might be a single keyword, but you will be tested on the same thing during the exam. Next is you also need to understand the major attributes of these particular models, and then how do they apply in case of, let's say, where do we implement Lipner model, where do we implement Bella Padula model, and so on, right? So that is why it becomes very important for you to understand and understand a scenario wherein a particular model is fitting up. So those kind of questions you may get in the exam, right? Mostly on the attribute side of it. Okay. With that said, let's get into these particular security models. So first, we will try to understand what is actually a model. Okay, what is meant by a model, and what is a security model then? So any form of model is basically a simplified format, or you can say a simplified version of something. And every model what we create it with a particular perspective, mostly for testing and those kind of stuff, right? I will give you a real-time example, right? For example, you want to understand how the aerodynamics of A737, Boeing 737 works. Are you going to take a Boeing A737 into the lab and test it out? May not be a right picture. It may be a future version which you are making, right? And you want to try out that particular model. So in that case, what we do, instead of taking this heavy machinery and testing it out based on its complexity, we make a very simple model out of it with the right perspective, and then we start doing the testing. So that is where model helps in there, right? Model also helps when you are able to have a successful machine created or successful system created. Once a system is created, you can bring out a model out of it which you can use or replicate in the near future. So that is where model plays a very, very important part. And when the same thing, when we create a particular model for a security perspective to test out a security aspect, then it is called as a security model. So on those lines, we are going to talk about few of the models today in this particular thing, in particular webinar. And you also need to understand, whenever we design a particular system, first and foremost requirement is to apply fundamental design principles. These kind of principles should always be there at the back of your mind. Okay. And once we create these particular system out of these security models, then the very next step is to go for certification, because certification is a technical validation of a particular product. Let's say a company has developed a particular system and they want to test it out, they want to get it certified so that they can sell it out to other customers as well, because they need to establish some kind of trust in the industry. So they go with certification process. Okay. Once they go with certification process and they you have to see it from your environment, what is fitting, what is not fitting, and based on that you can take certain decisions out of it. And who is going to take the decision? The decision has to be taken by the management. Management will see what is the outstanding risk.
Hey Manoj, actually there's a break in voice.
I was just about to ask whether I am only facing the issue or rest of all are also facing.
No, actually, I think it's something with the connectivity.
Yeah, maybe.
Manoj, you're actually
You
mute.
are on mute.
Yeah. Guys, am I audible now?
Yes.
And you are able to see my screen? Please confirm there was some internet glitch.
Yes.
Okay. So let's continue with that. Okay. So this is what we are going to understand today, right? Before even I discuss this, what is there on the screen, I want to let you know the systems which we use, those kind of systems falls under two categories. One can be a single system, or you can say a single user system, or it can also be a multi-user system. Right? Any kind of computer system can be a single user system or a multi-user system. What it means when we say it is a single user system, it means that only one user can log on to this, only one account is there which can be used on a particular system. A very good example can be your disk operating system. It can also be some kind of command user interface operating system like that. Correct? That is a single user system. Now, in a single user system, you don't need a high level of security because you already know only one user is going to use this particular system. Not many users are going to use this system. The complication happens when one single machine is being used by multiple users, and it comes down to what somebody can access versus what they cannot access. So those kind of system where multiple users are there on the same system, those systems are called as multi-user systems or multi-user machines. Okay. Now, when there are multiple users on a particular machine, or we can call it as a subject, multiple subjects. I hope you understand what is subject. Subject is an active entity on a particular computer. It can be a user, it can be a process, it can be an application, anything. Now, when these users are going to access the files, which we call it as objects, right? So object is a passive entity on a particular system. So these can be the objects. It may not be necessary that all the objects may have the same classification level. Sometimes objects have different classification level. Like for example, in your company as well, not all the files are public or not all the files are classified either. So what happens is some of the file may be belonging to a different category. Some are belonging to a different classification level or category level. Similarly, all the users also, they are not of the same privilege. There might be normal user, there might be power user, there might be admins, and so on. Similarly, those people who are standing at the back, some of them may be, at a very leadership position. Some of them may be on a middle manager position. Some of them will be at a very low, on ground kind of position. So those different users or subjects, they are interacting with a particular system. And in those times, the challenge becomes is when a particular subject access a particular object, that need to be controlled. That need to happen in a very, very controlled manner so that there is no inappropriate access. Now, to do so, what can we do? To implement such kind of measure wherein when a subject access a particular object, it is always, inconsistent with the security policies, we need to have some fundamental security models, right? These are the models which has been established. They are common across all the models, and we will try to understand those. So what are fundamental security model? The first one is called as state machine model. What is a state machine model? Very simple. It says that your system is always in some state or the other. For example, when your system is shut down, that is one state. When you start your computer, that is one state. When you open a Word file, then your system is in another state. The idea here is that when a system is transitioning from one state to another, it has to happen in a secure manner all the time. It cannot violate security policies during that time. So that is called as state machine model. Another fundamental security model is called as non-interference model. And this kind of very easy as well, right? We can do whatever we want to do in our own home, but we should not go and poke our nose into the neighbor's room. Isn't it? The same principle here as well. A particular user is okay to do whatever they want in their own profile, in their own parallel profile, but they should not be able to disturb other users which are there on the same system. So that is called as non-interference model. The third model is called as information flow model, which is very simple. It says that information has to flow in a manner which is inconsistent with the security policies. It should not violate any security policy, right? So these three fundamental models are always there. Now, on top of this fundamental models, they came out with lattice-based models and rule-based models. Now, what is a lattice-based model? A lattice means what? Looks like different layers. Lattice means layers, right? So a layer-based access control system means that there will be subjects who will have different clearance level. People on the top will have a high clearance level. People at the bottom will have low clearance level. At the same time, objects which are there on the system, like your folders, your files, or whatever you want to access, passive entities, right? They will also be on different levels. It can be confidential, it can be secret, it can be top secret, and so on. So idea here is who should be able to access which kind of document, who should be able to access which kind of objects. That's very, very important, right? That is what is defined in the lattice model. Under lattice model, we have two models. One is Bell-LaPadula, another one is Biba integrity model. And from an exam perspective, these two are heavily testable. So you need to put extra effort to understand this. On the other side, there are certain, certain security models which are focused on rule-based access control system. That means they works on rules. One of them is Clark-Wilson. and another one of them is Brewer-Nash model. So we are going to explore these models today. So let's get into this, because this area is highly testable, and I see even books are not explaining them well, and that is where the candidates are getting confused. And this is a highly testable area in the exam, so people are losing out on that portion. So let's try to strengthen that. So when it comes to lattice-based model, we will talk about three models here. One is Bella-Padula, Biba integrity model, and Lipner implementation model, which is nothing but a mix of Biba and Bella-Padula. Then we have rule-based system. In this, we have information flow system, Clark-Wilson, Brewer-Nash, Graham-Denning, and Harrison-Russo-Ullman models. Okay, let's get into this a little bit more. This is the first model, which all of you should be very thorough from an exam perspective, because this particular model is very, very testable, and this is focused on confidentiality. Actually, this model was brought in by US Department of Defense, and they were testing out this particular model on a standalone machine, and they were thinking, okay, how can we make sure that confidentiality is kind of taken care of? And this is how this particular, model has evolved over a period of time. And what it says is, there are subjects and there are objects. Objects has clearance level. Higher level objects, higher level subject will have higher clearance, low level subject will have low clearance. Similarly, objects are also very important, and they are also classified. So highly important objects, or you can say documents, are highly classified, and the low importance documents are low classified. So in this case, let's take an example that you have certain objects, let's say some documents which are top secret, secret, and confidential on different levels. And there is a user who is on a secret level, right? As you can see this mapping, he is there on a secret level. Now, while this particular subject is going to access the object, there has to be certain restrictions onto how he can access certain things. So the first one, the first property is called as simple security rule. You can simply understand this, simply means read. Read security rule, which means that a particular user on a particular level should not be able to read any information which is there on the higher clearance level. And that holds very good as well, because in your company as well, if you go and read what is the data which is there for the leadership, then there can be a lot of chaos in the company as well, right? Because you are actually going to access some information which is not supposed to be accessed by you. So that is purely a breach of confidentiality. So the first rule is called as no read up. The second rule here is no write down. Now this is where you need to put special attention. Why this particular person is not allowed to write an information to a level which is below than him. He is the boss. He should have access to write the information over there. But actually the model does not permit it, because it may happen that by mistake, this particular user who is working on a higher clearance level, he is working with secret documents, should not copy and paste or maybe reveal some information which is there on the secret level to the confidential level. And that is why we call it as no write down, or we call it as star property rule. Okay, star means read and write. You will not have write permissions. You can have read permissions, but you will not have write permissions to write data on a level which is below than you. The third model says that, right, there is strong star property. Strong star property, which means that on the same level, right? On the same level, you can do whatever you want. You are free to do whatever you want until you have the valid need to know, which means that if this is person 1 on the system, this is person 2 on the system, they both relate to the same level, right? Then they can exchange files, they can share files, they can access files, everything is there until there is valid need to know. If there is a need to know for this guy to a particular folder which is there on this level, he can have access to that. But if the valid need to know is not there, then this person, even if he is on the same level, should not be able to access the information. So that is what is your Bell-LaPadula model. Okay, this model you must understand, you should note down, it is the model which only supports confidentiality and it does not address integrity, non-repudiation and those kind of stuff. Also, this model does not help you to address covert channel. What is covert channel? Covert channel is a kind of hidden communication. When a communication happens without the proper way, right, in the backend, then it is called as covert channel. So this model is not able to prevent that covert channel. If you understand these things, you are good from an exam perspective. If you have certain questions related to this particular topic, please feel free to put it on the chat. I'm going to take it up during the end of the session. Okay. BIBA integrity model is the another model, and it is completely reverse of BIBA integrity. It is completely reverse of Bell-LaPadula model. Right now, how is this more important? This model is called as integrity model. Please understand, this is called as integrity model. So what goal we are fulfilling? We are going to fulfill integrity through this. Now, when we think about integrity, what are the different aspects of integrity? One of the important aspects of integrity is accuracy of information. So if you think this particular model from an accuracy perspective, you will be prompt on, bang on to understand this particular model. And it's fairly simple as well, right? Just like Bell-LaPadula, there are 3 properties here, right? Simple read property, star or integrity property, and invocation property. So let's try to understand that. The first property says that, now here also, because it is lattice-based model, so we have users on different levels, and we have documents also on different classification and clearance level. Now what happens is, the first rule says that simple integrity axiom. Axiom is nothing but rule, right? Simple integrity axiom, which means that if a person is there on one level, let's say this user is on a secret level, right? He should not be able to read a file, he should not be able to write a file at a confidential level. Sorry, he should not be able to read a file at a confidential level. Why is it so? Have you thought about this? Why is it so? See, the idea here is taking decisions. And when you take some decisions based on wrong data, based on inaccurate data, your chances of getting, the security goes for a toss. Simple as that. So if, let's say, a manager is referring to a data which is there for an analyst, right? This data at an analyst level will not be high integrity. The integrity and the accuracy of the information will not be that high. If this guy reads this information at this level, there is high chances that his decision making may get impacted. Once his decision making get impacted, this will lead to the entire system getting impacted. So that is called as simple integrity axiom. The next rule is called as star integrity axiom or property, which is kind of very simple. Person on one level should not be able to modify information on a level higher than this. And you will all agree with me, this is what we don't want to have. So this is integrity breach otherwise. The integrity is being played up otherwise. So that is your second rule, star integrity axiom. And the third property is kind of very, very important, which says that a process, even a process on a low security level, should not be able to invoke a process on a high security level until unless authorized. So this makes sure that a low level application, which is low on trust, should not access a high trust application, just like your kernel process and all of that. If they have to do it, they have to go through a validation process. They have to go through a validation process or access control process, which will actually do some validation on it. So that is your invocation property. Very simple to understand. Let me quickly summarize this particular model for you. I don't think you need anything more than this from exam perspective. First thing is, it's an integrity model, right? It is focused on integrity. Security goal is integrity. Second thing, the three axiom or three properties, just understand that it is completely reverse of Bell LaPadula. You should not be able to read below your level, because this may impact your decision making. That is called as simple integrity axiom. You should also not be able to write on a higher security level, because that way, mistakenly or by error, you may modify some files, which is very, very important. And then the third is, a process on a low security level should not directly access a particular process on a high security level. They have to go through some validation and they have to go through certain process. That is called as BIBA integrity model. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and talk about Lipner model, which is the next one here. Lipner model is kind of very, very simple. It is nothing but in real life example, for example, in your Windows system, right? We actually implement both of these models. We implement BIBA security model as well, and Bell LaPadula model as well. So in most of the implementation, these two models are implemented at one place based on the situation, and that is called as Lipner model. Okay, so Lipner model is very, very simple. I see some chat as well. Yeah, so Paresh, they are definitely used in real world. Otherwise, there is no point of having a model. Okay, and we'll talk about that during the end of the session as well. Let me go and talk about some more models which are based on rule, right? And first of the, I think this we already understood. Let's talk about this Clark-Wilson model first, and then we will go to Greber-Nash. So what is Clark-Wilson model? Clark-Wilson model is very simple. It says that, and I will use an example to explain this, right? Let's say you want to book a air ticket, and you are going to Make My Trip, and you want to book a ticket, right? Does Make My Trip allow you to directly go and book a ticket on their database? Will they give direct access to their database? Answer will be no. Nobody will give you direct access to the database. As simple as that. So what should we do in that case? Because we have to get the job done. To get the job done, when a user reaches out to Make My Trip, right, you have to use an intermediate website, okay, intermediate website, or maybe a database view or whatever, to make sure that the user is restricted to this particular website or the view. Why is it so? Is it so because the user who is coming from internet, he can be a good guy, he can also be a bad guy. He may give you very good quality data. He may also give you some bad data. That means some malicious script and those kind of stuff. Those kind of data is called as UDI. That is called as UDI, unconstrained data item. Right? To convert this UDI because you can put up anything. But when you go on a particular website, when you fill up a ticket on the Make My Trip website, when you have to fill up age, you cannot fill up the name, obviously. So that means there are certain security policies which are implemented on that, right? So that website is what we are calling out here is transformation process. And this transformation process will also have one more process which is called as integrity verification process, which means that when you access Make My Trip website and you want to book a ticket, first you need to log in. First you need to authenticate. That authentication is nothing but IVP, integrity verification process. Once you go to their website, you have to fill up data in constraint of their requirement. You cannot put your own data, right? So that is the process which is followed in Clark-Wilson model. Madam, can you just put on mute so that we will cover the question at the last? Okay, so this is what is called as Clark-Wilson model, in which when a UDI data comes to the picture, it has to go through a transformation process, it has to go through a integrity verification process, and then as per the security policies implemented on this transformation process, we make sure that UDI is converted into constrained data item. That means which can be pure and can go in your database. These three things is called as, this entire arrangement is part of the Clark-Wilson model. There is one very, very important aspect from exam perspective, which you need to remember. One thing, there is always well-formed transactions. Well-formed transaction means you have to go through a particular way. You have to go through a set order to achieve a particular transaction. That is just now what we understood. Okay, so this is called as well-formed transactions. The second thing is enforce separation of duties. How separation of duties is enforced in this? The person who is using is different. The person who will be handling this transformation process will be different. The person who will be managing this integrity verification process will be different. And the person who is managing this particular database will also be different. This makes sure that a particular critical process end-to-end is not owned by a single person and will not lead to a fraud. Because when a particular person is managing a process end-to-end, there is high chances that a fraud will happen. So that is why this is very, very important to implement separation of duties. The last point here is incorporate audit. That means monitor all the requests which is coming to this transformation process, getting verified and then getting committed in the database. So this way, any of the database, let it be Make My Trip, let it be any database in the world, we never expose our database directly to the users. Instead, we let them go to a website or let them go to a restricted view. There they can fill it up, they can select from the drop down, they can do those queries to the database and can get their work done. So that is what is called as Clark-Wilson model. It is based on certain rules. It is based on integrity verification process. That is why we are calling it as a rule-based system. The next model is PreWork model, right? And that's very interesting model actually, right? We also call it as Chinese model or Chinese wall model, right? This particular model, one keyword you should never forget is conflict of interest. What does this conflict of interest means is this, right? At work, for example, I will give you an example. Let's say there is a small company who is giving some managed services to some of the clients. And some of these clients are banks. Bank 1 and Bank 2 are competitors. They are competitors to each other. Now, what happens is when their accounts need to be accessed by this particular client, right? Somebody sitting here has to access it. If one single person is able to access both the clients and these two clients are competitor to each other, there is high chances that a fraud may happen, and this user may pass on some information related to client, client 2 to client 1 and client 1 to client 2. Now, on a process basis, definitely we will rule out a policy that a particular person cannot serve two different clients who are working on the same, or you can say those are competitors to each other. But how do we replicate the same thing in the design phase as well? To make it design effective, the model is PreWork model. So what happens in this model is the data item, let's say this is competitor 1, this is client 1, this is client 2, and they're competitor to each other. What we will do, we will take over their data, they will take over their data set, and we will give a particular tag number. Similarly, here also we'll give a tag number. And we will mark it. In the backend, there will be a rule which will make sure if somebody is accessing this particular tag, they will not be able to access this particular tag. And this rule will be dynamically created by if and else statements. So when a particular user by mistake is going to access this particular bank, he will not be automatically able to access another bank. This way, we are making sure that conflict of interest, any chance of conflict of interest on the ground level itself, from a technology perspective itself, we are able to control it. So that is why it is also called as a Chinese wall model, because this is dynamic in nature. This is purely dynamic in nature. All these rules are created in real time. And you will see this at many places. For example, if in an environment where people need to give services to multiple clients and all, if you are going to access one client, automatically your access to the other thing will go. So that is how the implementation of PreWork model, or we can call it as Chinese wall model as well. I hope you understood that. Let's go to the last some models as well here. So we also have Graham-Denning model and HRU model. I don't see they are highly important, but yes, there is something in the CBK, so you need to understand that. So this Graham-Denning model is basically more focused on the integrity of the access rights. Okay, this is focused on integrity of access rights. Okay, it is basically a computer security model. It is basically a computer security model which talks about subject, objects, and in between their access rights. So I hope by now you might be able to make an imagination. This is nothing but something called as a access control matrix or access control list. So in this, we are going to maintain a table with the subject name and file, you can say object number, and we can say, okay, read access, read write access, read write execute access. So it creates an access control list. There are a total of 8 operations which can happen through the Graham-Denning model, which includes, creation of a particular object, deletion of a object, and assigning different rights. But in this, we cannot grant a user power to alter a particular user. They can go and do the alteration on the object, but they cannot go and do the alteration on the subject by itself. That is what is called as Graham-Denning model, and that is why it is used in distributed systems a lot. For example, websites and those things where you may find that the data is processed by different computers. In those models, Graham-Denning model is the best one. However, it has certain limitation as well, because what if I want to make you as an admin and then you should be able to make some changes? That feature is not there in Graham-Denning model. You can anyways, because I am admin, I can go and create a particular object, I can delete a particular object, I can give you write access, I can give you read access, whatever I want. But I cannot create another user or give you the right to change everything or make you the admin. That is not available in Graham-Denning model. What is available in HRU model? So HRU model is nothing but a successor of Graham-Denning model. The limitation of the Graham-Denning model was addressed in HRU model, basically. And this is much more simple, much more lightweight. And in this, what happens is, it is an access control model, basically. It's a access control model, and it supports discretionary access control. Discretionary means I am the owner for something. It is my whatever file I create, whatever the thing I create, I am the owner of it, and it is up to my discretion to whom I want to share my file. That is called as discretionary access control. So this is based on the idea of, again, access metrics, just like this one as well. And it allows for the creation and deletion of subjects and objects, as well as modification of access right. So in this, not only you can create a particular user or delete a particular user, you can also go and, create or delete the subjects as well, which was not there in Graham-Denning model. So that's the major difference, what you need to understand from the exam perspective. Instead of 8 process, as in the case of Graham-Denning, we only have 6 process, and in this we can have some rights for creating the user, deleting the user, modifying access rights, and so on. More suitable for discretionary access control. If you ask me some example, you use Windows machines as well. That is where it is up to the discretion of the user by itself. If you yourself are the admin having the right level of privileges, you can make further users as well. You can delete a particular object, you can create a particular object, you can change the access control list on that particular object. Everything is available to you. So in one way, you are using HRU model there. So I hope this slide might have given you clarity between Graham-Denning and HRU. Now, just a bit of pitch here. If you guys are interested to get your CISSP cracked within the shortest time and with the best possible way, and in your first attempt, then I am here to help you out. If you are committed to yourself, I am committed towards you, and that's my funda. That's my KRA here. Now, madam, would you like to cover this up?
See, what you need for your CISSP success. We have a plan which we call it as a Mission CISSP 100 Days Toolkit, where you will be availed with the very, in a very structured manner created videos and the study notes which we have created to solve the purpose of our candidates. So no need for them to go and read those, huge books and all. So we have a very specific and very structured and very targeted study material where you have to simply follow that path. We provide you with the mind map, how to crack your CISSP in 3 months. So that mind map is available with us, right? And we have a good project plan. So if you are like 100% dedicated towards your goal, so undoubtedly you are going to crack your CISSP.
Let me explain this portion, because I have created that for you, right? First thing, what you get in the market is, all the training. There are a lot of training providers who give you CISSP training, right? First and foremost, they are bootcamp training. And for CISSP real success, you don't need bootcamp training. You need something which is end-to-end preparation. And with that intent in mind, I have created this 100 days toolkit program in which you will have a perfect project plan for your next 100 days, which means that your target for each and every day is defined. You don't need to get overwhelmed You don't need to think how my journey is going. Everything is kind of taken care of. You just consume small bits of the data every day, small bit of information every day, do brainstorming, practice question, everything is inside the course, right? So every day you have to just go cover everyday target, and every Saturday or Sunday, whatever like your batch is, we are going to sit with you. I'm going to live discuss with you all what you have learned in that particular week. And we are going to practice a lot of questions as well. So that is the perfect way to actually go and clear your CISSP. You are going to get a complete access to the LMS for 1 year, right? For 1 year. There are weekly classes which will be taken up by me. I will be explaining you everything in detail, and those classes are very, very interactive. You will have inbuilt notes which are created inside the program itself. You don't need to go and read heavy books and all, because I know reading is not everybody's cup of tea. So that thing is also kind of taken care of. Then you have to practice quiz, because it's a three-headed approach. You are going to see my videos, you are going to listen to my lectures, you are going to practice questions at the same time. So these three things has to happen in simultaneously, because this is something which I have understood after 6 years of my teaching CISSP. Right, I am one of the highest endorser for ISC2 at this point of time. I have myself endorsed 78 applications. So you can understand I have been very, very successful till now. The thing is, I want to take this game to a different level and have more and more people get certified. And that is why I'm coming up with this particular plan. Right? You also get support from CISSPs. We have at least 50 CISSPs with us who got certified from me, which are part of the same WhatsApp group, and you become part of that. So anytime you can reach out to any one of them for any kind of mentoring. So there is a strong support you are going to get in that particular area. And then if somehow you join us today, and maybe let's say you have some work commitment, you have some family challenges, it happens. You can't avoid it, because that is something is not under your control. And then what happens is your rhythm is broken. In that case, what will happen is you are going to get freely enrolled into your next batch. No question asked. If you are attending this session, you can anyways next batch also is free for you. There is not even a single penny you have to pay from your pocket. The entire intent of this program is to make sure those people who enroll, they get certified. They take the certifications and move. That is our intent. That is why this is not commercial model. Nobody will come and teach people for 100 days. It makes no sense from a business perspective. It is all from a passion perspective who can do all this. And that is why at Cybernous, we are very, very passion driven, and we are coming out with this particular plan. And this passion is fetching us very good results. Here is some of the summary of recent success. You can go and see my LinkedIn profile. I highly encourage you to go and see my LinkedIn profile. Many people got certified. In last month itself, we got certified around like 5 people. And today is 8th of July, and already three people have got certified. So that is the kind of success rate we have, because this plan is the perfect plan for your CISSP preparation. Just in case you are interested to enroll, these are some of the people out there who got certified, and this is what is in there for you if you enroll today. We just started with one of the batch last week, so there is a golden opportunity for you guys to go and join that, because we haven't covered too much stuff yet. It is just the intro session and a few small topic. Every recording, every session is recorded, and everything is available to you. So there is no better opportunity for you to come and join this one, right? We are also giving a handsome discount on that, right? Otherwise the the cost is 27,500. We are going to get it just for 23,500. If you are outside India, it's $350, but also madam can see for some discount if they want. So that is the thing which I wanted to discuss with you. Now I would like to take up some questions which you have. And feel free to type in your questions. It's nothing, this session is meant to help you out to the core. That is my entire intent. All this course and other things, they are separate, but my intent is to help you out. Even if you are preparing from yourself, I am there to help you out. You can always reach me out. Okay. So Bella Padula and Biba models, are they used in practical worlds? Very much they are used in practical world. It's not just plain theory. The model exists because it is being used. I have given some example during the explanation as well. Is this has a free e-certificate? Yes. Every user has a free certification as well, right? However, I have it. Everybody will get it. But my focus is, instead of just taking a e-participatory certificate, you take the real CISSP certificate and go from me. That's nothing like that joy for me. Okay, that's the best thing to have. And it's a pleasure for me when somebody coming out of the exam hall directly call me, the first person when he comes out of the hall, and call me, sir, I cleared my CISSP. Thank you so much. That's the best word of my life. That is how passionately I am driven on this particular subject. So in there for you, right? You will definitely get an e-certificate. You can claim it for your CPs and other thing. Obviously, everything is there with us. So any other questions? Great, guys. It's a wonderful time with all of you.